Luca Nation, I'm dragging ass today. I got to tell you, this week of me being sick, I haven't been sick in years. And this week of me being sick, it's no fun. And I'm a little under the weather. I thought, what might, get me out of this funk. What might pull me out of this was a box of
And
hoops. A box of hoops I could open with Ian for Friday opening. And a box of hoops would help me, open it up. And so you get one autograph and one numbered card. So what do you think of that guy? His name is Trey Mann. What do you think of my rookie ink Trey Mann? You ever heard of him? I
potential.
don't.
He has potential.
I don't know if it's Terrence Mann's, sad younger cousin or what, but that's my autograph, Trey Mann, and the one numbered card in the entire box, numbered out of 199. I guess they call it a hollow. Clint Capella. So even at a 175 break point, I feel even worse than before I started opening. Now, let me back it up. $175 from a hobby store. That's a great price. You can't get too wrecked, right? You can't get too killed. $175. People would charge $175 for like blasters, a prism, previously. So it is what it is. Not every box can have a banger in it, but every year it's a word to the wise. Be careful buying wax because most likely you're going to lose money. There's my little story for today. And
Do you like ripping wax more, or? And I know you don't do this, but like betting on sports.
Oh, dude, it's so funny. I had a conversation today. I got a text message from one of my cousins, and he's like, "What do you think of this weekend? I just got this free money. Here's my code." He sent me a code for like DraftKings. Here's my use my code so I get money and you get money. Because New York is now legal. And
You
so
get $10, I get $10, and we see each
I
other in
said to him, I go,
gamblers
listen,
anonymous in like
I
2
don't,
years.
yeah, I don't want to go too crazy because I got like a gambler, I gamble with that. I haven't signed up. I don't want to use a code. I'm sorry. I got one of those things, man, where, the gambling, it gets crazy. It's in my blood. It's in my genes. And you just got to be careful because, it's tough. It's hard to stop. And he's like, why are you telling me this? You're the one who started me gambling. It was like 10 years ago. I introduced him to online betting and whatnot. And now he's back. So I felt bad. But it is what it is. He won. He won his first bet, and he
You
decided with some
you
expert
might have
consultation.
introduced him to it,
Yep.
but he continued on. Let's just set the record straight.
I doubt he continued until right now when he was able to get a free bet. It's that kind of dude. So his bets, by the way. Tell me what you think about this. Niners plus points and the Raiders plus points.
Cool.
I said I
Dude,
like them both.
I think
So
across the board, 50% of the underdogs win this weekend. And if you bet underdog money lines, I think you're going to be sitting pretty. I think I'm betting every single underdog this weekend, bar none. I think
there you
Steelers beat
go.
the Chiefs.
Well, listen,
Steelers
we'll
beat
get
the Chiefs.
into NFL in a second, right? We can do that. And, I'll let you take the episode wherever it is. But, we get fun comments on YouTube. We get fun comments all over the place. And a lot of people do message me and they say, your co-host is a smart guy. Andrew knows his stuff. And we think sometimes, he asks you, your take on things and you kind of give this very broad, answer and he can't kind of give his own. We want to hear his opinion every once in a while. People tell me this. Um,
I'm
so
sliding
I,
those DMs.
so
Were
I
they
want
asking me who my favorite girl celebrity, girl
pretty
influencer in
much.
the
I think
hobby is?
actually most of the messages do come from the girl celebrities telling me to shut up and let the handsome guy with the pretty eyes talk. So I got a question for you, and I don't. I'll give my take at the end if you want me to. But I'm curious what your take is because there's a lot of different ways to go. And I won't even drag it out even further than that because I don't want to color which way I think you should go with it. But we've had some interesting things happen in the hobby, right? We had the Logan Paul Pokemon case happen, and we had the Backyardigans, with their breaking. That's what they're called, right? The Backyardigan breakers. We had their, kaboom gold, out of 10 giveaway. So, that's two things that have happened, recently. There have been other drama. Those two things have happened recently in the hobby. What are your thoughts on both of those things?
Which one should I start
Unfettered,
with?
un, un, you know, uncolored by me. Start with the Pokemon.
I don't know why companies like BBC or BCEE
BBC, yeah.
go into places that isn't their core competency, right? Like I do believe when you have a stamp of approval, you should have an element of experience there, right? And you've talked about it. You probably said it 5 times in the last week that they're authenticators of sports boxes, not authenticators of Pokemon. So that's my thoughts on BCEE. I think that we shouldn't, like, if I'm Logan Paul, and I don't know what Logan Paul's thinking, we want those guys around, man. Those guys are good for the hobby. You know, they do come with a bit of negativity, but those guys more often than not bring a lot of good. They bring a lot of eyeballs to the hobby. They bring a lot of attention to the hobby. They bring their friends into the hobby who have money. So I want more Logan Pauls in the hobby because that brings money, that brings attention. They publish, record sales on their vlog. And think about it this way, Cage. When we go on and do lives or these shows, we get thousands of watchers. Most other podcasts get, dozens. But dude, we're nowhere near the ballpark that Logan Paul, where he probably gets millions and millions and millions of views across all of his platforms. That's good. Now, Shine, don't know anything about him, but respect that he paid the money back. Card Kahuna, don't know much about him, but I do know Mealy Pops. I never liked that dude. Never liked that dude. Not a fan of that dude. I've been in his like Saturday night auctions when it feels like a Middle Eastern or an Israeli flea market. He's yelling at the people on the live. Like, I remember I bought, I think, 10 raw cards, and I asked to see them, right? He goes Instagram lives. He has a table full of cards, and you buy them, right? It's kind of like this crazy auction.
It's Mealy Pop madness.
It's literally madness. I got anxiety. I couldn't sleep because he's like screaming. It literally, if you guys have gone to Middle Eastern bazaars,
you got anxiety and couldn't sleep from it? That's amazing.
Dude, it's chaos. I would never return, but I wanted to support him because we were in an Instagram group together with this guy. So, you always want to support the people, this OG sports group that was created like 3 years ago by Gary and his team. So you want to support your people. He would always post like, yo, going live. If you guys want some deals, cop in. So I know you've purchased from there. A lot of the people in the group have.
Oh, yeah.
I have too. So you'd hop in there and he would show a table full of cards, but he'd give you like 30 seconds to agree to buying it. And with raw cards, you want to know what's the condition. He's like, oh, these are great. Yeah, I reviewed them. I was going to grade them myself. And lo and behold, I mean, this is like $100 purchase. I bought Michael Porter Jr. optic base. So like I didn't break a bank, but I want to support the guy. Dude, I sent them to my the guy who inspects at my cards and helps me out in the hobby. I've talked about him quite a bit. Gem City Sports Cards, awesome guy, Rick Shin. He was like, dude, these are destroyed. There's scratches up and down these cards. And I called Cage and I was like, dude, it's not going to be a big deal. I'm not going to return them, but I'm never buying from him again. That's just the kind of dude he is. He's just trying to make a buck for himself. He always has. Never liked the kid. So that's my take. Kind of hit on all tables. Before I move to backyard breaks, and any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll take it from a different perspective. It's $3.5 million. At some point, who wants an answer? Right? At some point, wouldn't somebody want some accountability? Right? It wasn't just that, oh, wow, it looked like a box that was, tampered with or whatever it is. Like, think about it. It wasn't a box that people thought was first edition. Somebody, slapped a sticker on or whatever it is. It wasn't. Think of what went into this fraud. Right? And I'm not just going to say, oh, well, we were all duped. Oh, well, we were all duped. Someone took the affirmative step to seal G.I. Joe packs into Pokemon boxes and then seal them into a Pokemon case and sell it for $3.5 million. There's fraud there, like actual fraud. That's fraud, right? It's fraud that's probably been transacted over state lines. It's something where I got to tell you, I'll never have $3.5 million in my name. But if I were the end user on this for $3.5 million, even if Shine, if I were in his shoes, I'd have the FBI. I would already be on the phone with the FBI. I would already be on the phone with whatever local investigatory body I could get there, and I would be letting them know what was going on. I mean, this is a big dollar crime. Right? It's a multi-million-dollar fraud, and someone put G.I. Joe cards in there. and I'm sure you can find who did it. I'm sure, right? You trace it back. There should be investigation. That's what I would be doing if I were one of the end users of this. I mean, maybe it's because I don't have $3.5 million. That $3.5 million would be a bigger deal to me. And maybe because these guys have it, it's like, all right, well, as long as I'm made whole, I'm made whole. No harm, no foul. But no harm, no foul. That's if nothing happens. If you just have to give back ill-gotten gains, what stops people from doing that again? You know what I mean? It's like the guy at National who tries to steal, and you just say, okay, you can't do that. You got caught. Get out.
Give the card back
What?
and leave.
Give the card back and leave. No, you got to do something. You know what I mean? You have to do something. Otherwise, it's going to happen again, right? You have to prevent people from doing this because the thing here is you're right. Logan Paul has millions of people watching, and now millions of people's impression of the hobby that they could have come in was it's rife with fraud, and that if Logan Paul, who is their hero and an expert in this, can be duped, what hope do they have?
1,000%. And he's not an expert, man. If you guys watch his show, like you could say everything you want about the guy. Dude, he's been nothing but the best promoter for Pokemon, right? Like he's thoroughly enjoys it. Like he thoroughly
clearly doesn't like G.I. Joe. No, and we can get on to the next one, right? The backyard one. But I guess my take on this is the upshot is, from a content perspective, I love it. It gives us great stuff to talk about. Liam James's job was real easy this week. Even Rick Probstein came out and showed the world that he had a sense of humor. That was hilarious. What Rick did.
Dude, Rick's pretty funny. We talked to him a little bit at Nashville. He's got a funny guy. His son was there too, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, listen, it's not a good look, right? I mean,
can I say something real quick though? You said it's not a lot of money for these people. So like,
it's not.
I've seen Shine make deals for cards, but the other two, we talk a lot about cardboard rich, cash poor people, right?
Yeah,
we talk a lot about that category of
100%.
Cardboard rich, but cash poor.
Yep.
Typically, what I've found is the people that do stuff like this, they may need some liquidity for something, and they don't want to sell their cards, especially in a down market, right? Because if you're selling in a down market, you might have all these cards you can post on Instagram and show off that like you got a really beautiful collection, and you'll fool 98% of the people. But 2% of the people also know how much cash does this guy have if things take a turn. So I also question that, right? Like Shine quickly gave back the money to Logan Paul, right? Confirmed. There's a little hesitation on the other two, and I ask questions as to why. Because if you look at their collection, you'd say, all right, they got some nice stuff, but
all right. Well, listen, we'll see how it plays out. That's negative. The breaks thing. You want to get into the breaks thing, and then we can kind of gloss over and then talk about whatever it is. Talk about backyard games.
Sure. So I have no affiliation with these guys.
Castaway. We are Castaway.
I got no affiliation with these guys. Maybe exchange a few DMs, but like that's it. There's two angles to it, but I'm going to go a different angle and then I'll come back to them. I don't love that the hobby, which is predominantly male, which is predominantly kind of middle-aged male, 35 to 55, are so quick to cancel kids, man. These guys, I don't know their age, but they come off to me as guys that are like ripping packs of cards and having fun in their frat, right? That's the vibe I get. These are frat guys. Like in a big fraternity, they got the back room, they set it up, they decked it out. They're having the time of their lives. They're yelling, they're screaming, they're wearing belly shirts, and they're catering to that demo. So whether that's your demo or not, you got to understand they do bring a certain, they do fill a certain need.
I mean, 6,000 people on Twitch, right, or something like that. They had some crazy number like that, or whatever it is.
To the young market, man, and there's a demand for that. Just because not your cup of the, your flavor, your cup of tea, you got to give respect where respect's due. So I wish there was more mentorship in the hobby, and less like, dude, these guys should like rot in hell, or we should cancel them, or you should never do business with them. Like, At some point in life, like we've all made mistakes, and we could talk about, what's an okay mistake to make and what's not, because I think a man is only as good as his word. We'll talk about that. And you should honor your word. But at the same time, like, there's people that are double these kids' age that are so quick to come for their throat as opposed to offer guidance and mentorship. And the guidance and mentorship I would offer these kids, because they've done a good job with their business, whether you like it or not. Whether you agree with their strategy, they have carved out a niche hobby. And a part of that mentorship is saying, guys, we've all taken L's. I got to give my co-host a shout out because I thought this shit was crazy. So when we were doing our Tiger NFT, Cage had this brilliant idea of giving away a space punk, which was literally 12 ETH. It was like $36,000.
At the time. I don't know what the hell it is now, but yeah.
At the time, straight up, like no question. And I was like, dude, what the F? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And he thought that the return on that would be much greater than it was. And the day came when he had to give that away.
Yep.
And it would be easy, super easy to create a fake wallet, send the money to that wallet. If you send a few more NFTs, no one would know. The guy carried through. He gave that space punk away. And it's shocking that that's come back now because we have never talked about that since. But you're only as good as your word. And as much as it hurts, and dude, $25,000 to kids, man, that's a lot of money in college, man. You don't know if the kids have debt. You don't know. So that's a lot of money. And when you're on the spot, you're like, oh, man, I can't give this away. And you slow. It was very candid. It was very off the cuff. I do wish that they would have handled – you saw it unfold. Just take it behind the scenes. Just take a night. Message the guy offline. Sleep on it. Because what you would have realized is that $25,000, yeah, it would have been a giveaway and probably would have hurt for a week or two because you would have thought, man, what could I have done with that card? What could I have done with that money? It would have helped them in the long run because what they would have done is build credibility and trust. But guys, they're kids. They are kids and they need mentorship and guidance, not judgment, animosity, and canceling. That's where I go. They're 100% wrong. They're 100% wrong.
I mean, the flip side of it is it's still a business. It's still, it's got to be taken into account as far as, when you're a consumer, where you're going to spend your money. The thought would be possibly, if you want to put a good coat of paint on it, is that if anything like this were to happen again, like this might be the place where you want to spend your breaking dollars now because they know so much scrutiny is on them, right? That they're under a magnifying glass, that nothing is ever going to happen again, right? Like if they happen to skate by, right, with this, after getting, their business reputation bruised as badly as it's been, you got to think that they're going to learn from this. That would be my hope. My hope would be that it's a lesson, learned. It's a tough lesson to be learned. I'm sure they're going to lose a lot of people from it. But the hope is that, they now know how to navigate something like that going forward. They'll be better about, more concrete about their giveaways. Like, here's a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway. This is who gets it. It's a box. We're opening the box. We're going to wait for the person. Okay, this person's claiming it. It's going to be, that's the best spin I can put on it, right? The negative, and this, let's just take it off the breaker thing now and bring it to the overall, right? The overall is going to be for the hobby itself. There are a lot of market participants now, people who we know. I mean, I don't even want to name them, right? But I get DMs all the time. People who were thrilled to be here 6 months ago, 8-10 months ago. People who were loving the state of the hobby, people who were loving what was going on in the hobby, people who were, couldn't wait till the next day. And now they message me and they're like, why is the hobby so full of rats? Now they're like, why is the hobby so full of people doing bad things? They're like almost ready to leave because they see, every time I open up Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is, wherever they get their hobby news, it's all drama. It's 24/7 drama and no good stuff, no positivity, no optimism. I get a lot of people, saying, has the hobby really made that transformation that so many talking heads tried to make it, calling it the industry? When it's not a hobby anymore and it's big money, it becomes about the money. And people behave differently when it's more about the money. I guess at heart, that's that whole investor collector, mentality as well. And what I say to all these people, and I'll say it to you guys as well, is that There will be growing pains throughout, right? Think of where we've come from in the last couple of years. Think of how easy money was to make in the hobby a couple years ago, right? And when there is easy money, people follow, right? The next step in that is when the money tightens and it's not as easy to make money. Before those people leave, they take shortcuts. They take shortcuts to try to continue to make money before they leave the space.
Because they're on their way out anyway.
I think that's where we're seeing right now. That's when you see things like, we're not going to give this card away. When you see things like this fraudulent case, this is people who have their eye only on the money and not about anything else. And you cut corners. And when you cut corners, it's never going to end well, right? And I think you're right. The next step is we're going to have a lot of those people who were new to the hobby a year or two ago. We're going to see some of those folks leave because the money is not going to be as easy to make.
So I still go back to this one thing I've said a few times. It's on the big businesses that say that they love the hobby to give back. And what I mean by that is it's easy to come after these kids or the posse from the Pokemon. But those are really small players in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yep.
One of the things I love is even before people start to leave, Gary does a good job of this in the NFT world. He says, hey, just goes on like a Friday night and tweets, like, hey, looking to support an up-and-coming artist who hasn't been able to sell their NFT. Shoot me some messages in the comments below. Or he says, I'm going to give away NFTs. Let me know in the comments below why you should get one. Or, hey, I want to send, I'm sending out $5,000 via Venmo. Let me know why you should get it, right? You've seen this? I think.
Yep, of course. Yep.
Okay. So there are people in the hobby that have been enriched. They now run the biggest grading company in the hobby. They have beautiful, beautiful collections. They could do that too. They could also give back. They could say, hey guys, people love my collection. I'm going to pick 5 people and give away a few $200, $300, $500 cards for my collection. Right now you have the Providence. It's owned by someone really, really respected in the hobby. One of the great, it's a drop in the bucket for that guy. Drop in the bucket. Right. So we're quick to point out, these guys, 21-year-olds, they reneged on their giveaway. What about the people that have literally been enriched by the hobby? Both, they're living their dream job. They got a great deal. They made a ton of money. They're probably sitting on 500 mil net worth. They have this incredible collection too. Why can't they do something? Why can't they give back? Instead, they raise prices to regular service is $100. Who can afford that? Who can afford that? And the people who could maybe afford that still have their cards at that grading company, and they haven't seen them for 12, 18 months. So, and that's where I go to not the kids who might have student debt who are making 20, 30, 50,000 a year, or the Pokemon posse, which Netflix, if you're listening, I trademark that, but I'm willing to sell it to you guys. What about these big businesses that have done so well, that have these gorgeous backgrounds or gorgeous collections? Why can't they ever say, hey, I want to support an up-and-coming business, or I want to give back to the community. Let me know why you should get, this or this or this or this, because I've done really well. That's where I go, man. I still stick with that.
I love it. I think it's great. What can we do? I know we're not who you're talking about, but what can we do?
Bro, we fucking do it, man. Honestly, I put my head on the pillow every day and I think, how can we give back? And we do it, man. We need, I'll think about it because there's always more we could do. So I'm gonna err on that side too. I'm like, you know what? I've been very fortunate. How can I give back? But at the same time, we ran a fantasy football league, for example. The entire buy-in was $1,200, right? The winner got $9,000. Then we got every single month, every 4 weeks, we did a slab giveaway. So people got, a slab for $150, $200, $250, $100. I lost money on that. Money I could be spending, on my family or buying cards. I make fun, gentleman's bets with people, hey, does Tyler Hero have 30 points this game? If not, I'll send you the silver mosaic. We talk to SGC and we say, hey, we're signing up for a partnership. It's half of what we were getting with HGA, but we believe in your business. We understand this is where we are on financial. Cool. We're going to over deliver, but could we at least have a little bit of something then for our community? Maybe it's not going to line our pockets, but it could help some people. So, little things like that. So, that's where I go. It could be even little things like the businessmen I was referring to. It could be like, hey, I'm giving away, 30 minutes of like kind of consulting calls, just business calls, one-on-one. Any college students that are in the hobby, or if you recently graduated, and you want to do something in this space, shoot me a DM. I'll do, 10 different 30-minute calls in this next month with people and kind of mentor them, right? Help them. So
it's a cool idea.
There's a lot you could do once you start thinking, I got to get mine. I want to take care of my family. I want to live beachfront. I want to have a huge house. I want to fly private. Cool. Get it. But also, I think that there is the opportunity to think, what can I give back? What do I have that someone else might need? And how do I offer that? And dude, if you don't know, take example from the one influencer who we chased away from the hobby because apparently, he's always pumping cards that he's never sold.
All right. Listen, point taken, right? Yeah. I do my best to answer.
Giving away 2 floor seat tickets to the Knicks game. Like little, 2 people in the, you know what I mean? If you guys subbed 100 cards with PSA and you're still waiting 12 months from now, I get it. You're pissed, but how about this? I'm going to give away, 10 tickets to a sporting event near you. Bro, it's a drop in the bucket. He could even make a call. Probably doesn't have to buy those tickets. There's a lot you could do. That's just me thinking on the fly at the end of a long moving day for us. My family's here, so we're kind of – there's so much we can do. Now I'm just having fun.
There you go. Moving day. I like it. So is it going to be moving day for any team in the NBA?
Dude, I'm big on Cam Reddish. This trade is so big for him, it's not even funny. I've talked about this, and I didn't love Cam when he first came up. But he's also been kind of blocked by the fact that Herter, Bogdanovich, Collins, DeAndre Hunter, and what's this other guy? Gallinari. They're all kind of the very similar players. They're all perimeter players. John Collins is a little bit less perimeter, but they have so many perimeter players, and then Trey just is a ball hog through and through. And Cam didn't have the opportunity to show up and show out. Now he's on a team that needs scoring, that needs someone dynamic and athletic, and he's playing with his Duke Blue Devil bro. They need to get Zion there. That's going to be fun. I could not be more positive, happy for the opportunity Cam has in front of him, man. I think he's going to do really, really well. Now he has a coach that could groom, and Jimmy Butler comes to mind. Right? He played for Thibs. He got mentored. He got groomed. I'm really excited for Cam Reddish. With this move. Is that the question?
No, of course, you can go any way you want, man. You're the NBA guy. You're surprised about the Grizzlies' recent success. You're surprised about the lack of success recently from the Golden State Warriors. How right was I about the Nets not being great once Kyrie came into the equation and them not being able to have any kind of steady momentum build up, because they're not going to have the same team out there ever, it seems. That kind of stuff, anything there?
Warriors, not so much, man, because they got blown out by the Bucks, but that was in a good matchup, and Draymond Green was out. And you talked about that. They're going to struggle against teams that are big. But they're also going to struggle against teams that are big when their best defender is out too. Dre is really interesting. Draymond's not like a really tall guy, but if you guys watch him, he's really interesting strategically. Positionally is actually a better way to word it. Watch this next time they play a team. When someone drives in the lane, and then how someone's cutting to the basket for an alley-oop, there's nobody that plays that better than Dre. Maybe Rudy Gobert, because he's able to kind of, juke at the guy that's coming into the lane like a Trae Young, but still cover the guy behind him. And that's a lot of that was points in the paint. Giannis was getting easy dunks over Kevon Looney, who could barely touch the rim, and Giannis touches the top of the backboard. So I'm not super worried, actually not at all worried about the Warriors. Warriors are a very good team, very well coached. Clay is going to take a few weeks, probably a month and a half to get his legs under him. The Grizz team, I said a few weeks ago, they remind me of the Warriors when they were coming up. They remind me of like this Desmond Bane, John Moran, Jaren Jackson Jr. Dude, these guys are 22, 23, 24 years old. I think I'm even over-exaggerating their age. I think they're a little younger. This reminds me of the Warriors team coming up. They're going to be together for a long time, hopefully. They know each other. They understand how each other plays. They're the fittest team in the league, man. Dude, they compete hard for 48 minutes. And a lot of people say, like, why don't you compete hard for 48 minutes? That takes a lot of fitness, Cage.
Yeah,
it
does.
takes a lot of fitness. And that team is fit.
Heard.
That team is fit. And the Nets, dude, the Nets are fascinating because you're right. They lost to OKC, but Durant was out. But then they destroyed.
It was just Harden.
It was just hard. They destroyed the Bulls. Think about this. This is their 4 scorers who all could put up 20 to 30 points. Kyrie, Durant, Harden, and off the bench, Patty Mills. Dude, that's 100 points right there between those 4 guys on an average night. On a good, like, it's not that the Bulls played that game poorly. The Nets put up 138, I think it was on them. So, like, this Nets team, their Achilles heel is going to be chemistry and defense. Because if they're off for a few games, what are they going to fall back on? Because they're all jump shooters. You know what I mean? And sometimes the ball just doesn't fall. But when they're on, they might set the season record for how many points they score in a game because they're going to be putting up 140, 150 when these guys are all there. It's just mad. It's just mad. Like when you have that much amazing star power scorers, and that's not even including Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, dude.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much out of them. Haven't really heard too much out of those guys. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, basketball, we're at the almost in the midpoint of the season, right? So we'll see what happens. You think the Lakers turned it around? You think the Lakers keep it up? You think the Lakers are there in the end? What are your thoughts on the Lakers? I always want to hear a LeBron thought from you.
This isn't a LeBron thought. It's a Westbrook thought. The guy hasn't changed his game, and he's shockingly arrogant with reporters. Like, the questions reporters ask him are not wrong. Like, dude, you suck at shooting. You turn the ball over a lot. Like, can you help us understand that? And he's like, well, it's part of the game. It's like, no, it's really not that much of a part of the game. Like, that's what loses games. And, dude, Westbrook shoots his team out of games. He's done that since he was a rookie, man. He's done that with that team that should have won a championship but never did with Durant, Harden, Ibaka, and Westbrook. Think about those 4 guys, man. And it's because he consistently takes bad shots, but it's actually, if we look one layer deeper, he's never evolved his game. Like, Iguodala is an interesting guy. Iguodala used to be a primary scorer, ran the offense. Then he kind of he found a different role when he went to the Warriors, right? He was like, well, how can I help? Westbrook has every opportunity, man, to find that role. He could be an unstoppable, a lockdown defender, like literally lockdown defender, dude. Super athletic, super long, but he consistently shoots 15 times a game. Why does he need to shoot that many shots?
Shooter's got to shoot.
He's not a shooter.
Make it rain.
He's not a shooter. He's never been a shooter, man. And that's where I'm at with him. Like, he's not a bad dude. That's the issue. Like, he's a great teammate. He hustles. He's on the surface, he's someone you want to have around, but his basketball IQ and understanding where he is situationally and where he is in his career, he's so like, those people who like, they're always one personality no matter what group they come into, but like in one group they're hilarious and the other group they're like, wait, hold up, this group already has 4 funny guys in it. Like, you don't need to be the funny guy, you could just be the listener, And they come in and they're like, who's this new guy? Like, we already got the funny guy in this group. Westbrook is that guy. He's always the same dude wherever he goes. But the issue is he's like the 4th funniest dude in that group. Like I'm pretty fucking funny. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But if I go to Bleecker and Cage is there, I'm not going to try to overshadow his funniness because I'm going to look like a moron. He's that funny guy.
Yeah, silly. I get where you're going, though. I get where you're going. He's not malleable. He's not willing to change, his approach. He is what he is, and he's not willing to turn into a round peg to fit in a round hole. He's a square peg, and sometimes that's not going to work. I get it. All right, man. Well, 35 minutes. I have steered us. What do you want to chat about? I think you've done a really good job here. I think you've been good.
Dude, I think you did a great job. I love this asking questions. I'm getting more and more and more. My energy. I could go for 350 minutes at this point. Keep asking stuff.
Keep asking.
Who else can I bash? Who else can I go after?
I don't want you to bash anybody. I don't want you to bash anybody at all. You know, I mean, you know, why I tried to do it this way was because you seem to always have a way to bring some, you know, optimism, positive spin to stuff, even when there's hobby drama. You know what I mean? Even when there's, you know, craziness going on in the hobby, you always have this, you know, way of you know, of putting a good spin. You know, even with the backyardigans. I mean, you're talking about how they're kids, and you know, give them a pass, and you know, somebody should, you know, be mentoring them and that kind of stuff. And you shall see the light.
I don't want to. Yeah. I don't think they should get a pass. I actually think they should get the opposite of a pass. So, like, you were on teams, right? My sister's really smart about this because she asked her manager at SAP for feedback. And she's a young manager, like maybe 28, 30. And she said, Arrow, you're doing everything great. You know, we love to have you on the team. You know, you're funny. You're an awesome team member. And she said, Andrew, but like when someone can't give you feedback, that really means they don't care about you, right? And this is a 21-year-old, 22-year-old girl saying this. She's like, shouldn't I, like, a good leader gives you feedback. That means they care about you. They're believing your potential. So I don't think they should get a pass. I think people should be harder on them. But I don't think they should try to cancel these kids because these kids have a ton of potential to do what they've done, to get the viewership they have. They do a good job, man. They do a good job. They run a good business. Now, what you should teach them, and if you guys truly care about the hobby, is what Gary always talks about that his dad taught him is that your word is bond, guys. Realize that this isn't a 1 or 2 year game. They're very talented people, but realize that your talent doesn't supersede your reputation. It doesn't supersede your word. And make sure that when you run this business, if you really want to be successful in business, and you guys can do this, you have the potential, that you have to be truthful and honest. Don't take shortcuts. Don't cut corners. Because if you do, yeah, you might have the short-term gain, but you're gonna burn a lot of bridges along the way. And here's the kicker: you're gonna burn the bridges with the people that in 5-10 years you're gonna want to do business with. So be patient.
Well, with that, the lead. Where do you? It's a question we ask a bunch of folks, but I don't know. I'm feeling a kind of way 2 weeks now. It's 2 weeks into the new year. Amazingly, already 2 weeks into 2022, and you know, we see all this drama. We see, you know, action in the market. What do you think this means for the hobby? Where do you see us going? You know, where do you see, you know, investments going? Where do you see, you know, the space? What do you see coming up in the next quarter?
Well, I mean, if I knew where investments were going, Cage, I would not have bought junk NFTs and probably would have put my money in World of Women, Alien Friends.
You did buy Alien Friends.
There. Yeah, I sold it. I think stuff cycles, man. I think stuff is very cyclical. So, like, short term, it's a little bit gray. It's a little bit gray. But I think this stuff ebbs and flows, and it only takes a few things to go right for the confidence level to come back up. So I wish I had more of like a macro sale of like, hey guys, it's going to be okay. You know, prices are going to go back up. There's going to be liquidity and volatility. We're going to bring influencers in and they're going to set record prices with cards. But here's what I'll tell you. As much as like it's January 2022 and it feels a little bit bleak right now, who's to say September 2022 is in the next bull run? And that feels like an eternity away. Like that feels like, oh, September? You kidding me? But it'll be here like that. So whenever I feel bleak, I always reinvest into I love the idea of reading. I don't read enough, but I listen to a lot of YouTube and podcasts and audiobooks. So I always try to reinvest into myself and be like, okay, I don't have the answer, but I know smart people out there do. Let me, you know, the whole seek and you shall find. I start to seek answers. I start to try to understand. I try to find mentorship that people who have been through this because, dude, I'm young, man. I'm 32. I don't know a lot, and I want to learn. So in times like this when things are a little bit bleak, I want to find mentorship. I want to get in the room with smart people and shut up and listen. So that's where I go. I try to learn.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. Sometimes I have to remember 32 is not what 32 was when I was a kid.
Bro, I plan to live 125, 100%. Think
Well,
about that. My grandma, Soviet Union, my great grandma, born in 1909, she lived till she was 93 years old. She lived through the Russian Revolution, 2 world wars, Cold War, immigration, communism. That's 1909. So, like, I was born 1989. I plan to live till at least 2150, 175 years old.
all right. Listen, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'd have to start exercising. I don't know if I'll make it that long. But, I mean,
You're
it's
doing
good
better than you think.
good
Just
to have
because you
goals.
were riding your bike and then you came down with a sickness and you had a week where shit
Break
felt
down
off.
with the sickness.
It
Break
happens,
down with
man.
the sickness.
It happens, dude. It's a tough. Like COVID is tough. I know COVID, not COVID, flu,
So
not flu. It's
how
tough.
about how about some cards, right? So you talk about improving yourself. You talk about I'd like to give a suggestion, and it's in line with what you're doing, but it's I think a little more hobby related. I'll tell you something that I do, right? I mean, I don't love reading books, but I read almost everything else. Like I research stuff like crazy. I read whatever's out there online, new stuff, new products. Sell sheets. Believe it or not, I'll read. But one of the things that I try to do is I try to organize my collection. When there's craziness going on, I try to go through my collection. I try to, take stock of it. And I think it's an important thing for folks to do now more than ever with what you like to call the decentralization of the hobby and money and that kind of stuff. I mean, chances are, if you're anything like me, you have some cards at Golden that you forget about sometimes. You have some cards at PWCC. Maybe you have some cards in the alt vault. You have some cards, wherever it may be. Maybe you got some cards for sale. Maybe you got some cards coming in on eBay that just haven't arrived yet. Then you got some cards in your basement. You got those real nice PC ones that you know about that are in a different spot, a safe maybe or whatever it is, right? These times where there's this, I don't call it uncertainty in the hobby, but there's this interesting period, right? It's okay to take a step back and reassess what you're collecting. Reassess the core of your collection. See whether or not during the last bull run you went a little sideways with something, spent a little bit of money there, and that didn't give you the enjoyment you thought it was going to give you. It's not something you feel like you're going to collect going forward. And maybe you trim that off your collection and you have a little bit of disposable income ready, dry powder, ready to go for when you see something that you do want, something that is more core to your
Even if
collection.
even if it's in the red. So like
Yeah,
even
if it's in the red, 100%, even if it's in the red.
I love that, dude. Rule number one. When
Well, you always say, right? Cut your losses. You always
cut
say
your losses.
And this doesn't necessarily mean something that's a loss. You might be able to make money on it. You might have even forgot you bought it. I mean, every time I do this, I'm like, wow, I was trying to do that. A lot of it may be stuff that you were buying in bulk, and you were like, oh man, I'm gonna get that into PSA. Let me get that into a grading company. It just never made its way in, and now you're like, I don't even know if I would grade this now, even when they do open up. I don't think so. Maybe you
Just
move
take
it.
my
I don't know.
$75. Take my $75. Sell that raw card and consolidate a little. I love that.
Yeah, something. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's think of it like spring cleaning. People do it with their house. People clean their stuff up, and I find that especially when you have so many crazy things clouding the hobby, it gives you kind of a sense of clarity, right? Because now you have a better understanding of your collection. You're able to focus in on what you have, what you want to keep, what you might want to get more of, what you might want to pare down to buy more of. And
Would you say it gives you perspective?
Sure.
Like that bird's eye view over like, oh, this is what my collection looks like, not with like this individual piece or I bought that wrong. It's like a little bit more, okay, I did okay here. I did great here. I didn't do so great here. What can I learn?
Yep.
I love it. A little bit different episode. I do all the talking. You're very cerebral and very heady. I like this case.
Yeah, people are going to hate it.
But either way, I mean, either way.
listen, it saves my voice a little bit, so I appreciate that. And we got the whole heavy lift, and I'm trying to think what else. What else we got crazy?
You don't
for
give
weekend?
yourself enough credit for how you're kicking the sickness, brother. I'll tell you that much right here
Cheers.
on the air.
Do you want to talk a little football, or we want to save that for the Whatnot Sunday morning?
That's gonna be fun, but the games, it's interesting because it's like a whole weekend. We should go live on Whatnot 3 days in a row.
Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Yeah,
I would be down, but we'll see how we're feeling. Maybe we'll do it for next week. I mean, I got to tell you, man, I'm betting every underdog. I promise you guys that. The issue with Eagles playing the Bucks that worries me a little bit is the Eagles love to run the football, and the Bucks have a big fat defensive line that's really difficult to run against, but it's easier to throw against. And you got Tom Brady.
that Vita Vea. If they're smart, what they can do is they run the ball. You start running the ball when he's out, and you continue to run the ball. Hurry up offense. Don't let them sub him back in. Believe it or not, it sounds ridiculous, but teams have had success against Tampa Bay running the ball with doing exactly that. Last week, that's what the Panthers did. If you watch, they had all of their successful running plays were on drives where Vea had taken, they took him out to give him a breather, and they did a hurry up offense and didn't let them sub him back in. And they were running right up the gut or running off tackle, and they weren't letting them get back onto the field.
Chuba Hubbard is my all-time favorite name, but Vita Vea is a close second. I'm not even sure if that's one name or two. Like, I don't know if that's a first and last name.
It's a first and a last name.
Just like
first and a last name.
It's like,
He's a big dude.
It's like Ronaldinho, like Vita Vea.
That's little Ronaldo. I like it. Maybe when you do your cleanup, you can do some more soccer. I was gonna say maybe you'll decide you want to buy more soccer cards. Maybe you'll realize that's your base. That's the thing you enjoy the most, and maybe you want to add more of that to your collection. Maybe.
So I actually bought 2 Messi cards. And someone messaged me because I think I've given – I don't think I gave this play. I gave the Lost Rookies card. But 2014 Prism Soccer, I wonder if it has the same historical significance that 2012 Prism will. More than likely not to the effect that 2012 Prism had, but that's the first Prism Soccer release. Am I right?
I think so.
And someone asked me about the Messi card from that year. And here's what I think. I think Messi's going to be the Golon, the whatever. I can never say the soccer – awards, but it's like the most goals in the World Cup. I think I really, really believe in Messi this upcoming World Cup. And if I do, I think the casual fan will too. So I think the Messi 2014 Prism, it's a little bit up from where it was, about 320, 350. I saw some sales on eBay for 400. I still think that card's a buy. Yes, it's a little bit higher pop, right around 3,000, but it's a 2014 Prism, first year Prism Soccer. I believe that has a bit of historical significance. If you could go silver, definitely go silver or a numbered parallel. I can't afford that, and I don't know soccer well enough. And by the way, we're going to start doing more soccer episodes. So we have 2 lined up. We have LAFC Gunnar. We'll have him back on. U.S. men's national team cards, I think, is his account. We're going to have him on because I do want you guys to learn more about soccer from soccer card experts. I love the game. I understand the games, but I'm not a soccer card expert. But I'm going to give you guys the play today and I bought 2 of these. I bought 2 of these for $300, $297 on alt and $300. But I think there's still room to run. I like this Messi card. I like the 2014 base Prism, PSA 10, 300, 350. You could go PSA 9 if you want, but I'm not a big fan of that or a color parallel. I think there's a bit more room to run. I think that card gets in the 500, 600, 700 range. And if he has a good tournament, I think that card could be $1,000.
Wow. Pele. That's what
Messi.
I would buy for soccer. I'd buy Pele.
Yeah.
That's it.
I would too.
And what's funny is people are pulling Pele autos out of products still right now. Sticker autos, but still pulling Pele autos. It's insane.
There's a lot of cool Pele cards. There's a lot of cool Pele cards out there.
That's what I would look at. I mean, obviously, I own one, but to me, I own the 58 Gazzetta.
Which is
remember the one that was like a card. It has the team picture and then little pictures around the edge, and it's hand cut.
They played musical chairs with that Pele card, right? First it was the Gazzetta, then they said it was a Afghan.
No. Tupanamba was the first one. The Quigol one, then the Alafel Baloge one, which has, there's been more of those circulating now in auctions. There've been more coming up. Obviously, when a price goes up the way it is, you see more of them come out. PWCC had one, Golden had one. There's a couple of them. I think Heritage may even have one coming up. And then this other one just kind of materialized out of nowhere. This Gazetta, also from '58, where the PSA 4 that I have, I think it's the highest graded. There's not a lot of them in pretty high grade. Yeah, you can take a look.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, shoot.
So hand cut cards.
Mm-hmm.
Hand cut cards. Can you So if you get a hand cut card and you haven't graded it, can I hand cut it to make it better?
So,
you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to
I know what you're
word the
saying.
question.
I'm gonna say yeah. If it's supposed to be hand cut, it's a cut card. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's cut one way. My card is not a 4 because it's not cut right. It's a 4 because it's 70 years old almost, and it's got some wear to it. But yeah, listen,
like the Wheaties card. I think a few Wheaties cards were hand cut.
I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of cards that are hand cut. A lot of them in wrestling. Remember that Andre the Giant was a hand cut. Remember people were cutting them out of the magazine and sending them in. Who's to know? That you cut it today or that you cut something that somebody else cut. I'm sure you can probably.
Well,
go ahead.
For new people in the hobby, there's these unwritten rules, right? So it's so hard to know. Like another one was for shiny cards. A lot of people didn't like if you clean them with a certain type of wax, right? And it's hard to know. It's your card. So what's wrong with cleaning it? Because you go comic books, they clean and then
Different
they press
world,
them, right?
Yeah, different world. Very different world. Very different world. But listen, people clean cards now, especially the shiny stuff. It's just weird because, what cleaning a card, you start getting into a slippery slope, right? I have been in possession of a Mickey Mantle 52 Tops that was cleaned with bleach. And I didn't know that. You know what I mean? It took a lot of surface dirt off of it and wound up making the color look bad, but it wasn't explained. And that's more than taking a microfiber to the card. You know what I mean? That's right. At least that's what I think happened to the card. You can take a look at what the card looks like. I don't know who put the G.I. Joe inside the boxes. I don't know how the cards get the way they are. No one ever knows anything. But it happens. So it is what it is. All right, man. Well, listen. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. I didn't have to really, do anything. You did all the heavy lifting, so that was nice. I'm just playing.
Talk about mentorship. Dude, you've been an incredible mentor for me. So you say you don't do anything, bro. You've taught me a lot about the hobby. You've taught me a lot about the history and the provenance of cards. So, dude, I'm just grateful for you, man. You're a good dude. You're a great business partner and an even better friend and father.
I appreciate that, man. I'm gonna tease something. And I don't know whether we'll do this as an episode, whether it be its own episode. You've been teasing
me since we met.
No, when I do this kind of stuff with my collection, and I've done this many times over. People have started asking me questions about what they call cards that are good store of value while they're figuring things out. They have money, they're liquid, they've sold stuff, they want to move into something, they don't have that card yet. What are cards? And I think maybe I'll come up with a list of 20 or so cards that are good, stores of value type of cards that they did not do the whole big 10x. They just slowly and steadily continue to be a good place to put your money over time. They're not going to be susceptible to a big, drop off kind of thing. You could probably think of, go ahead, raise your hand, shoot.
Miken. I know people very much are like, who is Miken? Who's this 4-eyed guy with a belt and khaki shorts? I said that. That's a quote, direct quote. Whenever you're ready, Basketball Card Fanatic. I know you interviewed Cage, and no one writes articles like Cage. He's not a photographer, so maybe someone else could do that. But when you're ready for an Andrew article, sign me up. But dude, that guy his stuff has the provenance, maybe not the same level as Mantle does in the NBA world. And I haven't heard his name in a while. And I got to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 12, 24 months, one of his PSA 10s comes up for sale. And that's $5, 10, $12 million card. I don't know what that card's worth. There's 3 of them. Is that right?
I think there's only one.
Only one. So like
the 40, 48, I think there's one. I'm not that card. I'm not 100% sure. I read an article on it once. You could be right. This 3. I thought it was only one. I know it sold for a record price when it sold years ago, so I can only imagine what it would sell for now. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Like I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know if it's 1 or 3. The Kareem 69 tops. There's either 1 or 3 PSA 10s of that. That comes out of somewhere. That's going to be a different story. You know what I mean? So there are some cool cards like that there are just not that many of. We could definitely see some record prices. And everybody we've had on who, wants to make a prediction. I mean, Ken in his own live was basically saying, his prediction for the year is that there's going to be a 10 million plus, an 8-figure sale, soon, or more than one. I think I saw an interview with Nat Turner where he said the same thing. And it's just,
I mean, Cage, remember I asked you, you said that as well. I asked you, when we see was it 8-figure sale?
Mm-hmm.
8-figure? I think we see that too. I mean, the market just needs a bit of a jolt, but I'll tell you, macroeconomically, I know interest rates the Fed said they're going to raise them. I know inflation 7%, which is like the highest we've seen in a long time.
Excuse me.
So I mean, we think about the hobby, but macroeconomically, things aren't great either. We have a president that, ever since he's come in, things have been a little bit rocky, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, right? You have a record number of COVID cases. You have
it's harder to buy Doritos. It's hard to find Doritos.
Is that right?
The shelves are starting to get empty. Yeah, so, man.
We have 7% inflation, unemployment.
You still can't find shit. It's crazy.
So all of this stuff, it does have an effect. Like when people are a little concerned, they're not spending their money on cards. So it's not just the hobby. Macroeconomically, things are also a little bit tense. Their confidence levels not very high. So, but here's the thing: there's still a lot of money in the system. A lot of money in the system. Interest rates are cheap. They printed a ton of money, so there is money out there, guys. Where it's being diverted is a different discussion. We're at an hour, Cage. Let's wrap it. We'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate you, Luca Nation. We love you. We hope you have an amazing weekend. Really fun weekend. At the end of the day, sports are free. Just turn on the TV. We got a really awesome weekend. NBA's great games. NFL playoff startups.
Wild card weekend. It's gonna be fun. Thanks everybody. Enjoy your weekend. It's a holiday weekend. Enjoy your 3-day weekend here.